Are you ready to brighten up your home for the new year?
And he's not just talking about your lights. Join us as we talk about what you can do to your home to start 2024 off right. Broadcasting from the Penguin Air Plumbing and Electrical Studio, I'm your host, Princess.
And I'm your guest host, Doug, and this is the Penguin Pro Show.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year and welcome to the Penguin Pro Show. Today, Doug and I have special guests from Penguin. Let's say hello to our plumbing manager and HVAC service manager, Louie and Jeff.
Hello, Princess and Doug.
Hey, guys.
Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks
for having us. How are you guys doing?
Good. Just prepping for that holiday season, looking to move into the new year and figure out what 2024 has in store for us all.
Yeah. Speaking of New Year's, what are some of y'all's resolutions for 2024?
I have a lot of projects at home I want to get done, so it's gonna be my 2024.
What do you got? What do you got going on?
I got a doggy house that I cut under the stairs. You know, that empty hollow space. So the dogs are going in there. I gotta put up drywall. I'm halfway through the drywall, and then I got the my shower pan leaked, and then I gotta put the laundry upstairs. So I gotta do the piping, all that, the venting. It's a whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of the doggy house, it's been a while since we've seen Jar Jar. I miss him.
Yeah, you can have him.
Yeah. I didn't say all of that.
That dog, it just chews up everything.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
I actually had a lot that happened Louie and I actually bought a house at the same time. So I did all the projects this past year. So in 24, I'm actually going to focus more on my hobby, which is finger painting.
Oh, awesome.
And just create more paintings throughout the year.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen some of your work, and it is amazing. I'm blown away every time.
You've got that Keanu in your office.
I do. It is.
John Wick.
John Wick is, it's amazing. Yeah, I love that thing.
Don't mess with somebody's dog.
Yeah.
That's crazy that you do that, because I can't even trace over stuff, and it looked like
it's definitely a talent. Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you just use your finger?
It's all finger painting.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
It's different.
What about you, Princess?
I have some things to do around the house as well. Girls are getting older, want their own space to create, their bedrooms. My daughter was telling me last night she needs to create an ocean theme.
Nice.
So.
An ocean theme.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What about you, Doug?
I just have a generic one. I just want to get in better shape, maybe a little bit bigger, a little toner, kind of really dove into fitness this last part of this year. I just want to continue it into 2024. See, kind of see where my body can kind of reach, kind of push it to its limits and see what happens,
Yeah. Ocean limits.
Yeah. Ocean ice.
Well, there's lots of different things that we can do around our homes in 2024. I've always thought about what upgrades I need to make to the house. Replaced one HVAC unit 2 years ago. Very mindful that it's time for probably the next one to go. Or we talked about water heaters before. That's in the back of my mind as well. This year might be the year. What are some of the things that our viewers should be conscious of and make sure that they're maintaining in their homes?
For HVAC, you really want to make an effort to find out where your insulation level is in your home. This is going to be a big year as well when you're talking about AC replacements. Mm-hmm. This is the last year for our 410A. They're coming out with the new refrigerant next year. And the new run of almost anything, they always run into issues. So if your AC is kind of old or you've had issues with it, this may be the best year to replace it.
And what are some of the telltale signs that it might be that year for replacement? So other than, the only thing that I understand more is like my capacitor goes out every year on that same unit, and I know that the older it gets, the more frequent that capacitor is going to go out.
Correct. You're going to see a lot of instances where the unit will tell you it's dying because you're going to have more repeated repairs. You're going to have different noises, louder noises. You may have higher utility bills. You may have different comfort in your home where it wasn't an issue before, but now it is. Those are all kind of just signs that something is going on. Something is not right.
I kind of wanted to touch on the insulation part. What are some of the things that a homeowner can do to see if their insulation is up to par, or if it needs, it needs to be, filled, being in Arizona, keeping the cool inside of the house is super important. So, that's where the insulation comes into play, is keeping that house insulated. But what can is there anything visual they can look at?
Correct. So if the homeowner is able to get up into their attic, they can take a look at the actual level of insulation. If they can see their floor joists, that's a huge indicator that they're very deficient in insulation. They're going to want to be almost 22 inches of insulation. So it's a lot of insulation is what's recommended.
Right.
If the homeowner is uncomfortable getting up into their attic, then we actually offer during the off season free attic inspections. So we'll actually send a tech that'll get out there. We actually have a ruler that we can actually take pictures and video so the homeowner is able to see exactly what's going on with their insulation levels in their home.
What's the typical lifespan of insulation?
Well, the old cellulose, we're actually recommending to a lot of homeowners that old cellulose, because over time it actually compacts and falls. A lot of instances where we're going to recommend that could potentially be removed, and then we actually do air sealing on the attic floor.
Oh.
Because when you talk about your home, you have an envelope. So you have your attic floor or your ceiling inside the home. There should be a barrier between those two. They shouldn't really mix, because that's where you're going to pull in some dust and attic air into your home, or potentially push your cold air up into the attic. So creating that barrier is going to help with noise efficiency.
Right.
And then the other thing about attic insulation, if people are considering, selling their house or moving, it does add value to the home. But to answer your question, the newer cellulose or the newer fiberglass that we blow in, it's going to have a 30 to 40 year lifespan.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's considerable.
Yeah.
What about duct cleaning? I know I did duct cleaning at my house 2 years ago. They told me it wasn't very bad, and it wasn't recommended. It was just something that I wanted to have done. Allergies, kids, things like that, and just being in a new home to me, but a home that was already 16 years old. I just found that when I would go through my house, there was some upgrades, but that they hadn't been maintained. So even our RO system hadn't been maintained in several years when we first moved in. I was like, do not drink that water until we have this serviced. So what about the duct cleaning situation?
It's recommended to have your ducts cleaned at least once every 10 years. And I actually think every time when we moved into our new house, I had our ducts cleaned immediately. Just probably because I didn't know who lived there before. And I like the cleanliness of having it done, because, it's my house now. Everything, I wanted it to be brand new. A lot of times you can take a look at your vents up in your either ceiling or in your wall, and you can start to see some black residue along the edges. So those are some good telltale signs that you've either got an air leak or your ducts need to be cleaned.
I just thought they needed new filters, but that's good for me to know, because sometimes you do go out, right, and you look when you're out in public, you kind of look up and they haven't serviced their unit in a while, but really that's what you're saying needs to happen, is the duct cleaning.
Correct.
Yeah, preventative maintenance is key to your home's longevity. You touched on RO systems. What are some of the trends for 2024 that you're expecting? Is there anything new coming out on the plumbing side?
For ROs?
For ROs, yeah. I know they're constantly getting better and better.
ROs kind of stay the same. It's kind of just to have some drinking water in the kitchen.
Right.
There's not really much that upgrades for them, it's filtered, through a couple filters, and gives you clean drinking water. But if you want to do like a whole home, when you ever do the dishes, not the dishes. You ever put dishes in the dishwasher?
Yeah.
Then they come out and they're white, and it's like you don't know if they're dirty or clean.
Right. Yeah.
You know, a good softener, conditioner can help you remove all that. Like I have glass doors on my shower.
Right.
And when I moved in, I forgot to plug it in, make it work, all that stuff. Then the first thing I looked at was the shower is all, you see the water spots, and they're so hard to remove.
Yeah.
So I went to the garage and I was like, this thing's not working. It wasn't even turned on. So I plugged it all in and started working, and the first thing you notice is the streaks are gone. The dishwasher, the shower. My wife didn't have to use conditioner as much. She does, but she's like, man, my hair feels soft even after, not. She ran out of conditioner one time and she's like, my hair still feels soft. I was like, that's the softener we got. It's so having a good one like that, it helps a lot. Like with your skin, you ever get out of the shower and you feel dry? And
Yeah, Arizona's got some pretty hard water. Yeah.
yeah. So that's where it's like a softener. You don't feel like a good softener for your house. You don't feel that way. You get out and you just feel. You don't. For me especially, I have really dry skin.
Yeah.
So when I shower and I get out, it feels great.
Yeah, I have it and my daughters have it. We all have eczema.
So do I. Yeah.
And it's the first thing that I look at, when we moved into our house, is I have to have a water softener, and I can tell within a day if I haven't filled the salt the way that I should have. I notice it immediately, and then it's gone right away. But it does make a huge difference. So
that's what I mean about health. Like my son gets really bad rashes, really dry spots, and he starts scratching, and it's like, stop scratching, and he hasn't had it since.
Nice.
So it's for health reasons too, and a lot of people drink coffee and use the refrigerator, right? They go into the fridge because it's got a filter. That's a one-stage filter. Like, it's gonna catch something, but it still doesn't mean it's healthy for you. If we were to test the water in the fridge, you would see that it's probably the same as tap water.
How often would you recommend a homeowner have their water tested?
If you just once.
Just once?
Just once. Just go out there, have it tested, and we can have results for you right away.
It's not something that a homeowner needs to do like once a year. Or...
If you don't have a softener, then a softener, you would know right away, just like she said, if it's working or not, right? Once say a softener is starting to have issues, your skin lets you know yourself, or it tastes different, or it smells weird. Now the softener's not doing what it's supposed to do. So then we come out and check it again, make sure the softener's working right, doing what it's supposed to do. Sometimes it just needs more resin. It needs, sometimes they forget to put salt. We have to, sometimes a customer just needs to be educated on how it works. These new homes are putting in softeners and stuff, but the customer doesn't know how to work it, you know? And not only that, but a lot of elderly people, they can't carry the salt, because the bags are about 50, 60 pounds, and carry it and dump it into the salt canister, right? So what we do is we provide other options that are saltless so that they don't have to worry about that.
Well, that's so awesome. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is there other options besides salt?
Yeah.
What are those called? It's just a saltless.
Saltless, yeah.
Saltless.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is. There's many of them. There's so many. It's like picking out a car. You're gonna go either to get your Toyota, or you're gonna go to get your Cadillac. You're gonna go get your Lexus or whatever. It's different options. It's based on what you want.
Right.
What I want. I want to feel great after a shower. There's a certain kind for that. I want to feel. I want drinking water throughout the whole house. There's certain conditioner for that. So it's just many options.
Nice.
I think you really touch on a great point, though, because, Toyota or Cadillac, really about the investment that you make. And we have a nice water softening system in the house. And that is a question that I asked a plumber, last year. I'm like, I haven't had this serviced. I don't really understand the dynamic of how it works. And they're like, well, if it's working, it's working, and it's a really good system. So the nice thing is they don't need a lot of maintenance, I had shared before that I didn't know that the water heater needed to be flushed until I worked for Penguin. Thank God it's been almost 5 years and I've got a little bit more knowledge. But I had a question about that too, because I'm aware that I'm going to need to replace my water heater sooner rather than later. What's the maintenance required on a tankless?
On a tankless, we need to go out there and there's a special solution for it. We go out there and we flush it, so we turn it off. There should be a gauge there. We attach the solution, a hose to the solution. So we dump it in a bucket. We put the pump in there, and the pump starts to circulate and clean all the gunk, right? Some tanklesses nowadays require you to have a softener, so that doesn't happen. If you have a softener to protect that tankless, now that tankless lasts even longer, right? Nothing lasts forever, but something like that is going to extend that life.
It makes sense that they would coincide together, though, to
Right.
have the highest efficiency.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're going to get the tankless, if you're going to get the tankless, you might as well get the softener as well.
Right. So I'm relatively new to the tankless water heaters. What are some of the benefits of having a tankless over a full size tanked water heater? It's just quicker water.
I'm sorry. I was saying, you guys hear that voice? It's throwing me off. Sorry. Go ahead.
So I'm kind of new to the tankless water heaters. What are some of the benefits of having a tankless water heater versus a regular full size tanked water heater?
So the best way to put it, say, like when you make coffee in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to the old school way when you had to put the pot on the stove, right?
Right.
You make coffee when you.
He's going way
We're going
back.
way back. I don't think I've
Right.
ever done that, but
Well, we used to. My mom used to.
Right.
But you would have to put the water on, let it heat up, right, and pour it into your cup. That's kind of like a tankless. It's when you want it, right? Now a heater is you let that sit there all day until you drink coffee again. So this whole time it's heating up, right, and then you're kind of just wasting energy. You're wasting gas, whatever it is you're doing.
Right.
And it's just heating up water that you're not even using. So a tankless, it's kind of, to put it in coffee terms, it's coffee when you want it.
on demand.
On demand.
On demand hot
Right.
water. Does it ever, because I know like sometimes I got 3 boys and we're always fighting for hot water in the shower and stuff like that. Is it continuous hot water or does it run out?
Some tanklesses do have a kind of a minimum, again, it goes back to which one do you want, right? There's some that can last a long time, right?
Right.
I mean, you're talking, 100 gallons, whatever. There's some that last 40 gallons. The difference is that you're saving power, you're saving energy, you're saving gas because it's on demand. It's 40 gallons on demand.
Gotcha.
There's some water heaters that, they're heating up this water and it starts to sound like popcorn. You ever heard that?
I have, yeah.
It starts to
in the full size
tank.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
like
make a weird noise, yeah.
Yeah, like the old house I used to live in, I used to walk by and be like, oh, that's going to have to be changed soon, right? And it's like, but me being, at the time, being a cheap plumber, right, this is where it's like it bursted, and when it bursted, I mean, you're talking about, because how much stuff do we keep in the garage that sometimes is valuable, right? I mean, you're talking about my wife's purses, stuff got ruined.
Shoes.
Got ruined, so it's like, that's a sign that it's time to either upgrade, and tanklesses don't burst like that.
Right.
Because you have a tank that's sitting there with 50 gallons of water. When it goes, that water's got to go somewhere,
Yeah.
and it's going to relieve in the garage.
Well, I think that's really important. So, like, if your water heater, say it's, you really don't know the age of it, and it's making noises, kind of like, like popcorn popping, that's usually an indicator that it needs to be replaced right away, right?
And that's way too much sediment built up, and it's working twice as hard, which means it's not supposed to do that in the first place. But again, a softener, even if you don't want to go with a tankless, you get a water heater with a softener, it protects the unit from that happening. Right? It's nothing lasts forever, but it will prolong it. Like the peace of mind is there. What we're seeing a lot of is these new water heaters, because the water's so hard. We go out there and install it, and a year later, they're already causing issues. They're already making popcorn.
And real quick question, just because I don't have a tankless, do they come in both electric or gas?
Both, yes.
Okay.
Both, yes.
That's really interesting. Just talking about the noises and things to be aware of. Having just recently gone through
Oh yeah.
a leak at my own home, and it was actually through an RO system, and then dealing with the insurance companies, the number one insurance claim for homeowners is water damage. I couldn't stress it enough after we had that, to have everything. We just recently had the hot water tank replaced, but to actually have somebody that knows what they're looking at, look for old RO systems, look for potential. And you mentioned you just had the leak that you're going to have to replace from your shower. How important it is to try to catch that before it bursts,
Right.
before it becomes a big issue, because it was 4 months of cleanup and renovation, and it was a nightmare.
Right, because your HVAC unit goes out, you're hot.
Right.
But there's no actual damage, right? For the most part, other than being inconvenienced. But you have water damage, and it's significant and takes a lot of time.
So we just have to, we go out there and we have to diagnose like the blood pressure to the house, right? The water incoming, if it's too high, it's like high blood pressure.
Right.
Some of these fixtures aren't built to hold that much pressure or hold in that much pressure. That's why when you have a drip somewhere, it's like, oh, it's just a cartridge. Like, okay, but what caused that cartridge to leak?
Right.
Right? What's causing that to have to push so much that it's given out? A shower head dripping. What else? The number one cause of floods in a home is the washing machine supply lines. Because again, they're out of sight and out of mind, right? And that's why we recommend to just upgrade them to steel.
Right.
A lot of them that come when you buy a new washer, they come with these rubber hoses. And with that much pressure, they're not meant to hold that much pressure, and they just burst. And when something like that bursts inside a home, it's seconds that home floods.
Yeah. I actually had a pipe burst. I guess it froze. I really wasn't too sure, but we were sitting in the house watching TV, and I hear running water. And I'm like, oh, what is that? That sounds great, And I go to our laundry room, and there is a waterfall pouring down out of the ceiling. But the previous night, it was pretty cold. Like, it got below freezing. And someone told me that I had to let my tap run. Being from Arizona, like,
You don't think about that.
You don't think about that kind of stuff.
That's rare, yeah.
But the amount of pressure that built up, that it actually like split the copper pipe open, it was terrifying. Yeah, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to shut my water off. I was just running around all crazy.
And that's the great thing about, when we do maintenance checks, that's the first thing we ask the customer, like, hey, in case of an emergency, what would you do?
Right.
Most of them say, I don't know. And that's when we just go outside. After that, we show them what the blood pressure is to the house.
Right.
So we let them know this is to shut off the house. If anything happens inside, you shut off the valve here. After that, we test the pressure to see where it's at. To regulate that pressure, there is something called the pressure regulator valve. So it kind of just, the name's in itself, right? It's pressure regulator, regulates the pressure to the house. If customers want to do it themselves, if they're curious, I think it's like a $10 part. All you do is screw it on to the outside pipe that's coming into your house, the fresh water, into the hose bib. You screw it on, turn on the hose bib, it'll let you know what the pressure is. If it's anything above 50 to 70 is fine. Anything above 70, we should probably come out and check it out. Because at night when nobody's home, when everybody's sleeping, it's when the pressure starts to,
Right.
during the day people are home, they're using it, so the water's going to dip a little bit.
Right.
When people are sleeping and nobody's using it, that's when that pressure goes up.
Yeah.
So
I think that's one thing that's really great about Penguin is that we do educate our customers. We show them where to shut off their water. We show them where their main breaker is. In case there's ever, anything sparking in the house, you can go outside and you can shut it off right away. A lot of homeowners don't know where that is. Even myself, I didn't know where to shut off my water. And I think that's a really great thing that Penguin does offer. What are some of the things on the HVAC side that, if something's going on, they need to know where that is? Obviously, like the AC breaker or what are some...
Well, you definitely want to know where your breakers are at.
Right.
Just even if something happens and there's a surge, to possibly reset it just to see, if there is a bigger issue. it still amazes me what we put up with here in Arizona when it comes to the comfort of our homes and what we just accept.
Right. It's very true.
From a hot room to $500 electrical bills, we just nod our head and just assume that this is the way it is. And it doesn't really have to be that way. Having your ducts looked at, if you've got a hot room, it very well could be that your ducts have, there's this, call it gray flecks here in the valley is what we call it, but there was a certain period of time where they built homes that had this gray flecks, and the gray flecks will actually fall apart. Where the lining around the inner tube where the cold air is blowing just falls apart, so you're just left with this clear plastic tube that's got all the cold air that's absorbing all the heat from the attic. But because we accept that our homes are uncomfortable and we pay high utility bills, we don't pay any more attention to it other than, oh, this is what we get for living in Phoenix. Right. And it doesn't have to be that way. So if you notice, I mean, it's your bills spike at all. Again, noises are a big concern. You've got hot rooms. You start to notice more dust, things of that nature. There's a lot, even when we get into the health of the way they're building homes now, they're actually building them sometimes too restrictive to where they're not breathing enough. So you're recycling this used air. So an air purification system, possibly even a makeup air. There's a lot of different things that we can do for homes to create a healthier environment.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the duct systems here in Arizona, I mean, are everybody knows they're horrible.
I know I'm guilty of like, oh, well, it was $500 this month.
Yeah.
You know, and then, I mean, you came out, or the guys at, at the AC side came out and looked at my dinosaur of a unit. And they're like, yeah, you need a new unit. I was like, I know, dude. But get me by.
Yeah. Well, like, again, going back to replacement, kind of what you mentioned about the different types of tankless systems, same thing on the HVAC side. You've got your kind of standard systems that are more simplistic operation, all the way up to your higher end systems that are a little bit more bells and whistles. They're more efficient, they're quieter. Yeah. There's a lot has to do with comfort. And this year, upcoming year in 24 is going to be very different and challenging because it is the last year for the current refrigerant that we're using. And when we made that switch from R22 to R410A, those first initial years or runs of R410A equipment, there were issues with it.
Right.
So I do believe that if you've had issues in the past and your system needs to be replaced, I'm not sure there's a better year this year because they learned a lot from that R22 to R410A switch. So R410A is going to be more readily available than R22 was. And you're getting a system that's tried and true.
Right.
So I think that if you're in that realm of replacement thought,
2024 is the
2024 is the year to do it.
What are some other upgrades that you would recommend to our viewers?
Yeah, there's a lot of Wi-Fi stuff now, huh?
There is.
I know, like technology. That's why I kind of brought up like the progression of everything. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, even water heaters now have Wi-Fi. I could just, I wouldn't go there yet, because
they have the leak detectors.
They have all kinds of built-in stuff. So like AC-wise, because I still have that old thermostat, that press buttons. I sent you a picture of it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me how HVAC guys, and when I send them a picture of my thing, they're like, "Oh," I was like, "What?" You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of new cool stuff. Like I didn't know that you can control your house through your phone on the thermostat. I didn't know that. Like that's amazing.
I control mine on my phone.
See what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean the garage, the thermostat. The next thing I'm going to do in 2024 is Jeff mentioned the air purifier on that newer unit because they cover. One of them covers like up to 3,000 square feet, right?
Yes.
Which, when you think about the average size of a home in Arizona, you've only got to make, even if you've got 2 units, you could put it on just one and it's going to cover whatever square footage, of the home. It's going to filtrate all of that and really,
that's
again,
cool.
Allergies and things like that. It's just very much something that I want to upgrade on that newer unit that we have.
What is that, like UV lighting?
A couple of different things. So you can do a UV light. Well, they all have a UV light of some sort, but there's a different type of standalone UV light that you can install. and then there's the air purification system that has a catalyst involved with the UV. Then you go back to piggyback on what you had said earlier about your Wi-Fi thermostats, even to the point of if there is an issue, they're getting to that point now, or kind of like the Jetsons that we all thought was going to eventually happen, that the thermostat's going to be able to communicate to itself, or the thermostat will communicate to the other components of the system. And if there's an issue, it'll actually be able to notify us as a company who installed it, in addition to notifying the customer that, hey, there's an issue, you should contact your service provider.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a great upgrade. Like having that kind of information about your house, like, because we're at work all day. Most people are at work all day. If something goes wrong in their house when they're not there, they don't know. You know, your entire house could get flooded. And I think those are some key upgrades, you know, on the AC and plumbing side. Like leak detectors, like Wi-Fi leak detectors, right? That's a thing, right?
Yeah.
So kind of explain how that works a little bit.
So it's just, it goes under like every sink, right? It goes under like the kitchen, the bathroom sinks, wherever there's like emergency shutoff valves, because they tend to just give out, and when they give out again, there's no way to shut it off besides going outside and shutting the whole water off to the house. They're also now we can also put them outside by the water heater, so it sounds off an alarm, but now they're making it to where it's Wi-Fi. You know, it'll
It'll
notify.
like send an alert to your
It sends an
phone.
alert to
Right.
you. It shuts off the water,
It shuts off
and
the
it
water.
Shuts off
and
the
it can
water.
even alert your home service provider. So it's really amazing. I mean, because you don't have to be home. You know, if it detects the leak, it's going to notify you. You're not going to walk into it. It's going to notify you instead if you go that Wi-Fi route, and then it'll notify your home service provider at the same time.
Wow.
I'm getting them everywhere in the
I
house.
am
Because
too.
Walking into the house you just bought and hearing the noise and seeing the lake, it wasn't.
Well, it's devastating. Yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't fun.
and those leak detectors are really only the size of like a lightning cable. You know, it's not huge, it's not inconvenient, it's not a huge investment, and it's not an eyesore, right? Because it's small.
It's about a square. It's nothing big.
Yeah.
They used to make these big, you know, it's kind of I thought they were like rat traps. You know, I was like, what is this thing? And
I
then-
don't want that house, Louis.
I thought that's what they were, so I picked it up and I was like, what is this thing? I asked the customer, like, oh, it's a leak detection. I was like, you know, we kind of have upgraded from this, you know, 'cause it was like a brick. But now they're smaller. They kind of just, everything that's, some insurances now are going to require that the home has that. I know that I ran into a couple insurances where they're like, you know, we'll cover it this time, but we need you to install these, you know, because
I think having an early detection system like that is
Right.
going to be crucial and the standard going forward.
yeah,
And it's nice to have a company like Penguin that could be there and move through different phases of technology like that.
yeah.
With the HVAC, they make something similar too, don't they? They're like kind of an early detection. So like, say you're at work all day and your AC, something happens with it, and they have something, you know, that could send you an alert and let you know, hey, your system's not working, the fan's not working, it's not cooling.
Correct, and that kind of goes back to that there are different levels of HVAC systems.
Mhm.
So when you get into the kind of higher level systems, they're communicating. So they're going to communicate, not only the different components communicate to each other so that the unit, when it's operating at its peak efficiency, it'll then be able to communicate back to the thermostat, which is the hub of the data, and to communicate that back to the homeowner.
That's amazing. Yeah. Electrical has something similar coming out. That they're smart home panels, which are connected to Wi-Fi and send you alerts. So say that your refrigerator is the compressor is going out. Or you get a breaker that trips when you're not at home. It'll send you an alert and be like, hey, you know, your refrigerator is pulling more voltage than it normally does. It needs to be checked. Like that type of early notification, like is should be the gold standard. Like I really love that technology is moving in that direction.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, even going back to electrical, or staying with electrical, if you don't have those upgrades, it really is important to have a professional out to take a look at your system, whether it's your plumbing, HVAC, electrical. there's just so many different things that can happen and can go wrong, unfortunately. Again, because of my flood, I learned a lot about my house. And there's a lot of homes in the valley that have aluminum wiring. And what a different challenge that presents versus copper. And you may not know it until something happens. And that would be my biggest thing for 24, at least, that we learned the hard lesson last year when you're dealing with a flood and the remodel and everything that happened is how do we prevent that? Because I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I mean, just from the displacement of the family to trying to work with the insurance companies, which are never fun. The early preventative measures that you can take are just, I'll preach it. Preach it.
We preach it all that time. Preventative maintenance is key.
Yeah, but that brings up a point. Like, how do you know on your side, because I'm curious, how do you know that he would have aluminum wiring going to inspect his house?
Is there an age of the home or, kind of a threshold that a homeowner should think to themselves or ask themselves, I've lived in this house, or this house was built in
Because I know in plumbing,
1972.
That's
I don't know
why
what's
it's
in the
best
wall.
to take advantage of the tune-ups, the safety inspections, the water heater flush, because it gives you insight into your home that you normally wouldn't have. On the HVAC, I believe we come out twice a year.
We do.
Same with electrical. I'm sure same with plumbing. Take advantage of that. Like that really educates you, especially if you have an older home. It really does educate you and let you know where you stand so that you can build a good foundation to build your home up from there. Kind of, if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you're going.
And I think, too, if you have the discipline to get all of that scheduled annually, it's just like your checkups, right? When you go to the doctor, you know that you should be going in for that every year, right? And if you get into the routine of having your home serviced and all of those systems, then it just becomes part of your annual life.
Right.
I mean, we mentioned the ROs. I know that my filters need to be changed in June. It's already been programmed into my brain, having lived there for 3 years.
Yeah.
So
It's not just even the age of the home. I mean, that's a huge indicator initially. However, because of different buyers, and we live in this YouTube world where everybody can fix their own stuff, just watching a couple of YouTube videos, only to find out, wow, that was done very dangerously wrong. So I think it just is helpful to have those inspections.
I did the same thing when I had that pipe burst. I went and I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I had to fix this pipe right away because, and unfortunately, the plumber was like, oh, I'll be out there in a day or two, and we didn't have water. So I went to Home Depot and I got something called a shark connector.
Shark bite, yeah.
Yeah, shark bite. It lasted about 4 hours before it started spraying water again. So we turned off our water, called a professional out, and he laughed at me. I said, don't ever use these again. And we ended up getting it fixed. But yeah.
I'm pretty sure we could do a whole nother podcast on what we've seen and discovered with,
Oh yeah.
hey, I got a friend
Oh.
and he knows how to do that. I mean, my neighbor just had that. We just helped them reset their AC
Right.
system because it was sitting on like 2x4s to get leveled, and it was like,
My favorite
what's going
is
on over there?
My favorite is my neighbor's an electrical engineer.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The engineers are the best.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask you both, looking back at 2023, what services did your departments provide the most? What did you find was the trend in your department or the most common upgrade or service that you had to provide?
I noticed a kind of an uptick more in coil cleanings, indoor coil cleanings. We did a lot of indoor coil cleanings. A lot has to do, I think, with sometimes you get renter-owner applications and the renter doesn't change their filter enough. Or maybe they don't have proper filtration. So we did a lot of coil cleanings this past year.
And you, Louis?
We did a lot of water softeners. Yeah, that was people are being more concerned about their water.
Arizona has notoriously hard water. Like it's bad. Without a water softener, like you're gonna get out of the shower and you're gonna turn white. And I don't know if it's calcium Or,
Yeah,
it's bad.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so and on the electrical side, surge protection has been by far the most thing that we put in. Homeowners are really wanting to protect their investment in their home. So they've been, I would say 90% of the homes that we go to are getting surge protection put in.
Nice.
So
I love that you said it that way, though, too, the investment, because, we've seen the home prices go up, right? We've seen the cost of all of these things that are trending and going up as well. And it really, if you have that mentality about it being the investment and you want to
Right.
continue to invest in that investment so that you're not losing on the backside, right? The surge protector that we talked about previously, I mean, I want one, because I can't go wrong. I mean, with the lifetime warranty, right?
Absolutely.
I know that if it's doing its job, I'm never going to have a problem. And when it does, if and when it does do its job, I get it replaced. So it's literally a one-time investment that I don't have to worry about or that I'm ever going to come out of pocket again.
Yeah. And the surge protector protects some of the biggest things in your house. Anything with a motor load, your air conditioner, your washer and dryer. Washer and dryers are extremely expensive nowadays. Your refrigerator, those are all like key components to making sure that your house is, a home essentially.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, Louie and Jeff, we really appreciate you joining us today on the Penguin Pro Show. Thank you, Doug, for being the co-host.
Oh, thank you.
You brought so much relevant information to the table, and it was awesome just getting some of that additional input and things that, our customers can upgrade and maintain on their homes for the upcoming year.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was great. A lot of fun.
We'll have you guys back again soon.
You
Looking
better.
forward to it.
Awesome.
I think I broke this thing.
Well, now that you've heard our New Year's resolutions, let's hear from the rest of our Penguin team. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey ladies, it's Pug on the Streets, and we'd like to know what your 2024 New Year's resolutions are.
Save more money.
Save more money. We all
Awesome.
could be better at that, I think, right? Hey Kaden, hey Carl.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's Pug on the Street. We're just talking about 2024 being right around the corner. What are some of your 2024 resolutions?
It's a good question. For me, I'm gonna try to sell 500 plus for the company this year.
I love it.
Yes.
What about you, Carl?
We are going with intense focus.
Focus upon work more?
Yep.
That's a great one.
Get her done.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Let's see what else the team has to say. Mr. Holden Jones.
How are you?
I'm awesome.
So we're going around and we're asking people what's their 2024 New Year's resolutions.
Oh, my resolution for this year is to hit the gym every day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So,
Doug's definitely all about that. It's very in line with his resolution too.
we'll have to go together.
Yeah. 5 a.m.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Love it. Hey, Doug. Doug and I are out here to find out about what some of your 2024 New Year's resolutions are.
Okay. First of all, it's a gross, ugly habit that I have. It's smoking cigarettes. And so far, I thought I needed the patch, but I'm doing good. And I got me like little finger stuff to play with when I get fidgety. And I'm doing good so far. So I'm trying to get
Well,
back
you've
into
taken the first step, right?
Yeah,
What else do you have for 2024?
keep that off. Control, eating.
It's a common thing everyone's saying here, Doug. I think you need to be like the gym champion around the office.
Yeah. Get everybody healthy. Pat, I see you hiding over there.
I'm not hiding. I'm like the most prominent person in this room.
So we're asking people what their 2024 New Year's resolutions are. What do you got?
Don't ever make resolutions. I make day-to-day results what I want to do on that day because I found that resolutions will always fail. But what I'm working on right now is to lose my weight back so I can get back off the blood pressure medicine. So, but that's not a 2024, that's a lifetime.
Lifetime. Yeah.
Starting 2 days ago.
Awesome. Proud of you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Hey, Jonathan.
Pug on the streets here. More like Pug in the office. We're going around asking employees what their 2024 resolutions are.
Work-life balance.
I like it.
It's my 2024 resolution.
Awesome.
I like it.
I've struggled with that for the past 33 years of my life, and I need to regain that.
I
This
mean,
is the
that's
year.
amazing considering you're only 35.
I know.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
That's a great one.
They don't call it a terrible twos for nothing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. Happy New Year.
Remember, for all your home's needs and wants, Penguin Air Plumbing and Electrical has you covered.
And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, share with your friends, and let's all have a great year.